Stick these all down here. Can't wear the hat.
Okie dokie.
Ready to go? Welcome to the regular selectmen's meeting of April 10th, 2014. We will open with a public hearing for liquor license renewal for spirituous, vinous, and malt liquor for the American Legion. We have public here representing the Legion. Does anyone in the public have any comment, concerns, questions? Selectmen? Anybody have any?
Well, now, I guess only one. Since the last, between the last license and now, you put the big deck on back. What is that? Yeah. So how's that? Everything good with that? You ain't had no problems or anything?
No problem.
No problem.
We monitor that.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know you do, and I know it's a good sized deck. I mean, it looks good. From a point of view, we're trying to be a little bit more sharper on certain things being done in different ownerships of different things, so that for good safety.
Yeah, I think that deck's been there a little over 2 years now.
Okay, because
It's been there, yeah.
sometimes I get wrapped up in things and my time frame don't run quite the same. You probably can relate to that.
Yeah, I can.
So it has been that long. Okay, well, I'm good.
Okay. Nothing further, we'll close the public hearing and open the selectmen's meeting, excuse me. And I will ask for a motion to approve the liquor license application.
I make a motion to approve the liquor license for the American Legion. Second.
All in favor?
And when you pick up the liquor license, you'll need a special amusement permit for dancing. Only one spot.
And when can I pick that up? Tomorrow?
Yeah, I suppose we'll go to the night left.
I'd just like to say I thank you for approving this liquor license, and I just want to say on behalf of the American Legion of Veterans, we commend everybody down here for doing a great job, everybody down in the town office. And as the old saying goes, people don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. And I believe everybody here cares, they're doing a great job. I've been watching the meetings on TV, and I know you people don't get many thanks, but we want to thank your veterans over there.
Well, I appreciate it.
Very much appreciated.
I appreciate it, and I want to let you know we're up here because of people that have been in the service and done their part and their duties and stuff. We're allowed to be able to have these meetings and see these and take children. It's run the way it is, so thank you right back.
Thank you, I know I gotta go, I gotta go to the...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
I have a,
I make a motion, we sign warrants.
Second it.
all in favor? Man over there has warrants.
That's sort of man, it's from inches. Stuff we made work.
Only two?
Yep.
Wow.
And can I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 27th, 2014?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of March 7th.
Second.
All in favor? And a motion to approve the minutes of April 19th, 2014. Oh, sorry, not.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 9th, 2014.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yeah.
First item under old business is part of the selectmen's meeting on April 9th. We put an ad in the paper asking for for people that are interested in filling a vacant school board position until the next municipal election. We had 2 candidates that stepped forward, but we wanted to put an ad in the paper to make sure everybody had a chance. We had no further candidates, so as part of the selectmen's meeting on April 9th, so the school board could have a full board for their meeting today. The selectmen went into a quick meeting, reviewed the 2 candidates, and did Sonia Bailey to fill the vacant school board position until the next municipal election. Next item is the public hearing for the Municipal Facilities Committee meeting. Public hearing is going to be April 29th, 6 p.m. at the school. Peter Coughlin, Maine DOT Director of Community Services, will be there to answer questions. He is the gentleman that the state relies on for sand salt sheds and these kinds of issues. He's provided the committee with a lot of information. We had a chance to review different sand salt sheds. He brought in pictures and gave the committee information as to what worked in other communities, what did not work, and it was on his advice that we were going with the current size and current shape of the sand salt shed. So he's going to be at the public hearing April 29th. He's got a lot of experience, and hopefully if anybody comes that has any questions on the sand salt shed, he can answer.
That will be at the school,
Yes.
same as the last public hearing.
And it's gonna be like a 5-point presentation. That was laid out nice. That went well. I think everybody was well informed on everything, and they worked well.
First item under new business, Will Toole is here tonight. He's here to discuss his candidacy for the House of Representatives that he's running for.
Come on up, Will. Come on up.
Well,
Good evening. My name is Will Toole. I'm running for House District 139, which was newly reorganized to include East Machias, basically. It was the old District 32. So it now includes Cutler, East Machias, Eastport, Lubec, Machias, Machias Port, Roque Bluff, Whiting, and Tresca. Before I really launch into anything, I do want to thank you all for signing on to the petition that East Machias started on behalf of Down East Correctional Facility.
You're welcome.
I think that means a lot that Lubec and other communities joined in, and then a message was sent to Augusta, and I trust that it was received, and efforts are ongoing to resolve that situation for the long term. The proposal itself has been taken off the table for the time being, but they've decided, coincidentally, it was 3 or 4 days after our petition was turned in, with 20 some odd towns,
Wow, good.
that they decided to take it off the table and think about it at a time. So I know this is way off what I was going to talk about, but I will say that in the next efforts are underway to organize something and come up with a solution that will keep the place open so that every 2 or 3 years we won't be threatening with a closure, regardless of who the governor or legislature is. So that efforts on that realm are ongoing. Probably there'll be some news in the next couple, 3 weeks, I would venture to say. So with that, all this to say, my candidacy, I am a Republican. I live in East Machias. I'm 4th generation down Easter. My family has lived on Hadley's Lake in East Machias since around 1900, and actually even before that, they lived in Alexander property. My grandfather, Richard Hooker Toole, as they call him, he owned the Sunoco station in town for years and years and years and years. He sells handcrafted baskets too. So, I have a lot of connections to the area. I'm familiar with small businesses and the way people get by around here. And you know, our family, we're in the woods. I remember many a time growing up, I was tipping at 6 o'clock in the morning at 10 years old and such, and that's not unusual. You got, down here, you've got a lot of folks on the ocean, and mullet traps and everything else, digging clams, so. I'm very familiar with the down east work ethic. I believe in it. I believe in local control, keeping things from the ground up. You know, I'm a selectman in East Machias. We have our values, you know, Lubec, you all have your values. It's separate. You know, I respect that. You know, you have your own town and you run it the way the people want it to be run, or you try to run it that way. So, you know, I believe that that is the value that regardless of whether you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent, that we all, if we all abided by it, we wouldn't have the problems that we have in this state today. And one of the big problems being Augusta liking to stick their finger in the pie and push things, well, you all know, you know how it is, they push stuff down. I tell you, this school consolidation law a few years ago, myself and fellow selectman Bucket Davis, who is also my campaign manager, he's here with me tonight, we all worked to come up with an alternative to this consolidation and actually helped co-author the AOS structure versus a super SAD where 15 or however many towns would have been put in. And some towns would have won, some would have lost. So we worked on that. We've also been to Augusta many times to stand up for revenue sharing. I believe a couple of you were at one of those.
Yeah, we were.
I believe I heard you. I believe I heard Jimmy Clark as well.
Quite an experience.
It was.
Yes.
It was quite an experience that day a couple of years ago.
Like good.
And I believe you were the fellow that was talking about all the property that was off the tax rolls.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we're seeing that everywhere down here, with property going off, and not because these groups are evil organizations, it's just because there are loopholes in the law that allow them to not be on the property tax rolls, and that hurts the community as a whole. It really does. So, but no, we've been to Augusta several times, fought for many different things. We stood up against the revenue sharing, stood up against state spending, which for many small towns is quite hard to understand how they can seemingly throw money away, if you would, to put it diplomatically, amidst other things. Yes, so I do believe in the Second Amendment. I do believe that a lot of the issues that we face around that, I believe we should leave well enough alone. And I don't think we should be encroaching more on gun rights. I'm for hunting. I oppose the bear referendum. I oppose making it harder to hunt bear, I should say, and whatnot. And I believe that when it comes to things like Sunday hunting, that should be a local decision. You know, you folks, if you folks want Sunday hunting, you should be able to vote on that. If Portland doesn't want it, they should be able to vote on it, specific to their town, community, or even on a county-wide level, you know, rather than just saying, you will do this, live with it, type of deal. Because I don't believe that's the way we should be doing business, in whether the town, state, or federal. So I do feel that we need some welfare reform. I do believe that we need to make it tougher for the vices to be taken advantage of. I think welfare should be for the people that really need it. The TANF and the EBT cards should be for the people that are really in need, and it should be for things that are needed, like food, and legitimate things like food and fuel, and the things that you instead of alcohol, tobacco, bail, all the things you read about in the news. So anything we can do to make welfare, to encourage people to use welfare the way it was intended to be used, way back when it was first put in, I think we need to be doing. So, I oppose the legalization of marijuana. I'm not really a big fan of the methadone. I don't think that it is, I think we still have a lot of drug abuse in the county, and I don't think methadone is all it's cracked up to be. I think it's also had some side effects and some abuses in its own right. So I'm cynical there. I'm not saying I'm totally opposed to it, but I'm very cynical. What other? I also believe, you may or may not know, there is a movement afoot at the federal and state levels to crack down on firewood and sort of not firewood, but wood stoves, and making it harder to use wood heat. And I am totally opposed to making it harder, to putting more restriction on stove makers, to stopping people from burning wood in their own homes. As you know, the EPA has decided that it's a big pollutant. They think it is a big pollutant. When around here, it's what a lot of people have to eat by, and it's a lot more expensive than oil per quart versus per barrel. And, the state could be doing more to, I don't know what you, the state could be doing more to encourage wood pellets and wood stoves and timber harvesting for everyday people, When I was growing up, you used to be able to get a permit, cut on state land, get your firewood, and bring it home. And that was, some winters that's all we had. So I think we should be allowing more of that and having less dependence on oil and some of these other things, because firewood, by today's standards, is an alternative energy. So that's generally what I believe in. I was wondering if any of you had any questions, or if anyone from the audience had questions.
I have a question, Will. How many people is the position you're running for represent?
Registered voters, and I got the registered voter list a couple months ago. There are 6,400 registered voters in the district. That isn't to say that it's everybody in the district is registered, but it's somewhere between 7 and 8 to 10,000. So, but there are 6,400 registered voters.
Well, my hat is off to you that want to go to Augusta where all those wolves are.
Well, sometimes you don't want to go, but sometimes you're the only person willing to go.
But the thing is also, you got to look at it as if you don't stand for rights of being able to do something as simple as burn firewood. It's getting to be a very, very closed society.
Oh, it is.
The laws and rules are too strict, so if that's where you want to go, you got my backing, buddy, but don't come back and tell me I told you so.
Oh, I've been there enough to know you're giving me good advice. I will say, if there are other questions?
Thank you, Will.
Just statements of support.
Yep,
Well,
thank you, Will.
And I have some business cards here.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
please.
For the people on television, my Facebook is WTHD139. I don't know how you want to go about these. Do you just want to hand a few around?
Yeah,
Do you want to have a stack? I don't know
We'll
what your
hand them around and we'll have them in the office, so
Oh,
if anyone
I don't
would
know
like
what your
to.
policy is on that. I don't want it to be said
any
that.
fines or anything, we'll, got an address on there we can send you?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
email is on there. Email is on there, phone number is on there, Facebook is on there.
Okay,
Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Will?
it's gonna be the legislative body that's gonna be helping you out.
I'm certainly gonna do my best.
There you go.
I can't say, I don't have all the answers. I freely admit, As
Well,
Bucky here says, I may be legally blind, but I won't be blindsided.
There you go.
Well, I have to say, we've worked together on the Marion Transfer Station
And we've
Board of
walked home
Directors
a few times. But, you
for
know,
3 years, and I feel very good about your candidacy.
well, thank you.
You got my vote.
Well, thank you.
I've had a chance to interact with Will, with my work with Sunrise County Economic Council,
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
always a heck of a resource.
Good.
And if he doesn't have the answer, he can find out who does.
Yeah, Bucket has a lot of answers. And he is.
Smartest move is
Yeah.
getting the right manager.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, right. I like that.
Good luck, Will.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
good luck.
You're welcome, thank you,
thank
Will.
you, Will.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Keep us in the loop.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Could I get the name of that gentleman from the I'd like to get a card or something. Could you get a card and something to him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we
I'd
will.
like to speak with him.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, most
All right.
certainly. We'll see that he gets one for sure.
Thanks.
We definitely will.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Put that on his application.
Just liquor
Yeah,
license.
look at what- yeah,
Thank you,
Oh,
Will.
thank you, Will. Thank you, guys. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Bucket. You're very welcome.
Next item is Jim Clark. He wants to discuss the width of North Lubec Road.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jim.
I come before you tonight to discuss
Come on
the,
up closer,
The,
guys, if
uh,
you want to.
Yeah,
The,
the bike's in hand.
the North Lubec Road and to help citizens and you all and myself, everybody who might be wondering just how wide is North Lubec Road. I've done enough research on the subject, dug into the past and present history of the road, to a degree that satisfies me and the DOT and all the surveyors who survey North Lubec Road for people, for property owners who abut it, that North Lubec Road is in fact a 3-rod way. There's no question that it is, except in some people's minds who perhaps not familiar with the process of how roads become 3 rods wide, or 2 rods wide, or whatever. The North Lubec Road started as a state aid road. As far as I know, all state aid roads are 3 rods, by definition. It was originally a 3-rod road. And I guess as roads go through a process of where the state finally wants to get rid of them because of whatever reason, maintenance costs, liability, et cetera, et cetera. They go from stage 1 road to a 2, to a 3, to a 4, and then finally they move into that great beyond for roads called the town responsibility, so to speak. In which case, if major things happen to add to it, you have to go to the state and kind of get some money from to fix stuff like down South Lubec. Or around the curve on South Lubec Road.
Oh, we've had major problems up north of that.
And North Lubec Road. And where they had provided some money to fix crossover, bridges and Tires Creek
Correct,
thing
yeah,
and the
right.
other ones. And that brings us around to the point that we know it's a 3-rod road because where the ditches are, and where the poles are, and where the bridges are. Now, if you go out to North Lubec Road, go down a ways, you've got the Pirates Creek. And as you go up Pirates Creek, you look to the left, you'll see these iron stakes with these round things on them. Those are the markers. They're way over there. Those are some of the original markers, monuments. But you go further up and many are missing. They're gone. They're lost. And that boundary marker is subsequently lost. Doesn't mean that people don't know where it belongs, or that it can't be found out where they belong. There's a method by which the town can do that. And it's quite simple, actually. It's called state statute 22. All right, Title 22. In fact, it's called the Lost Boundaries Statute in the state of Maine. It's public law. It's been around a long time. And basically, I'll summarize what it says. It says in a case where it's the boundaries are somewhat lost, i.e. people can't quite put their finger on it. They kind of know where it used to be maybe and all that, but for one reason or another, the monuments have been disappeared, left the planet, washed down into the ocean, whatever. Got lost when they were ditching, who knows. The town can invoke this statute, Title 22, the Lost Boundary Statute. And what that means is, if the town invokes that statute, Title 22, and in order to do that, all it has to happen is the select board simply makes a statement to the effect that we hereby invoke Title 22, the Lost Boundary Statutes, with respect to North Lubec Road. All beginning, middle, and end. Now, interestingly enough, the very end of North Lubec Road, doing my research, that part that runs past the chicken coop,
Yes.
that was designated a 4-rod bed.
4 rods.
4 rods.
Can I
Because
ask
of the
you?
hotel up there. There it is.
I found this in a deed.
Okay.
It's 4 rods up there
I know at one
at the
time.
end. And there used to be some question about that when I was doing some assessing as my other hat. It was like, there was this argument going on about where the boundary was of this property. What's a 4? It very clearly states it meets this one end here and it's 4 rods up there. Well, I thought you'd like to know that.
Well, I have a question. For those that don't understand what a rod is in feet, would you please tell us?
Yeah, I'll give you some historical old wagons, I guess. And if there's people in the audience that know more about it than I do, please feel free to call me and straighten me out. But my understanding that old wagons were about 8 feet wide, the axles. Okay? So you had some roads originally, and it's one of the reasons why the houses around here are so darn close to the road, because back in the old days when you had wagons, they had an 8-foot axle. You could get 2 wagons side by side in 16.5 feet. Okay?
So a rod is 16.5 feet.
Right. So when the automobiles came out, they went, well, we can't really fit 2 cars safely, so why don't we just go 2 rods? You know, 16.5 feet. So 1 rod would handle 2 horse-drawn wagons, more or less, buggies. And so people built their houses close to the roads because they didn't want to shovel a lot of snow to get
And they're
down to
buggy.
the horses, whatever. Anyway, that's historically where that comes from. Now, what the Lost Boundary Statute would do is say, okay, we're not quite sure where the center of the course of pavement is today. Over the years, it shifts, changes somewhat. What the Lost Boundary Statute says is from the center of the then current paved way, the center, you go out 24.75 feet from the
Which
center.
is half of 3 rods.
Right. Which is 1.5 rods. And that is the boundary of the road in today's terms. And what that means is and we all know that, maybe we don't, but we all know that landowners, and by the way, every survey that I've seen that's been done subsequent or on North Lubec Road, the surveyors, Huntley, CES, all of them going back in time, whenever they did a survey, they always designated North Lubec Road as 3 rods in width on their surveys that they did for landowners in front of North Lubec Road, okay? So, excuse me. Landowners, actually landowners have own the land to the center of that road. Right? They own it, they just don't have the fee simple rights to inhibit traffic. In other words, there's an easement, you know, the town, the state, whoever, they have a right to pass, and the public. That's why it's called a way. You know, and you don't want to inhibit the way with any structures, right? What they don't have is what's called fee simple interest. They don't have a full bundle of property rights up to the center line of the road. They do up to the boundary of the road. They give those rights over to public.
By the boundary of the road, you're talking at the start of the 1.5 rounds.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Not
they
the
have-
boundary of the
yeah,
pavement.
right. They have no right to put structures.
That's correct.
Now, interestingly enough, I did some more research and discovered that, in some careful reading, and I could go out and plant a tree in North Lubec Road, right in the middle of it, today.
Yes.
And if that tree stood there for 40 years, that little spot's now the trees, belongs to the tree. It's a form of adverse possession,
I said.
but it's not a 20-year toll. It's a 40-year toll. So I could build a house in the middle of a road in the state of Maine and somehow manage to keep 40 years. It's there 40. What that means is there may be folks who, for example, have built retaining walls, other structures in the way over the years, going way back, who, if you invoke this lost boundary statute, right, would then subsequently have to move them, right? If the lost boundary statute would invoke an expansion or otherwise damage somebody's property who had a legal right, for example, maybe they had a legal permit to be there. Okay, they had a building permit, they built a fence, they put a wall in, and then the town came in and invoked the statute and wanted to take it. Right? The town might be liable for damages in that case. They might have to reimburse that person for taking your property. But I don't believe we have that situation at all. And the general advice that I've been told is that anytime the town can control, the wider the way the town can control, the better. Because you never know. You might, someday there may be a business or some enterprise or some operation that needs a wider way out North Lubec Road. Or perhaps someday a good portion of the bank along there might collapse into the ocean. There might be some erosion, in which case that would be a case where, you know, if you laid out the way, and it went, you know, you had to go dig in, you might have to pay somebody for that taking because you create a new, you know, a new way. But it had to redirect the road due to some problem. You know, you might then have to, obviously, pay people for their property. So, any questions on this?
Yeah,
Any
I have a question. So if the way of North Lubec Road is 3 rods,
Oh, yeah.
and the paved area of that way is not 3 rods, that gives the town the ability to correct narrowness in the road in spots, because I've heard over the years many people have concerns about
Yes,
how there's spots in the road where 2 cars meet and everybody slows down.
absolutely.
Okay, when this was brought to my attention, I asked one of the residents of North Lubec Road, they said, well, that one of those spots is by my property, and I said, well, don't you want to have it improved? And I'm not giving up any property. But what you're saying is that really they don't have a choice in the matter, in that the way is wider than the paved area.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
You go from the center of the road like he's.
Yeah, you're up in
25
the
feet, you're up
bushes
in
next to the road.
Well,
If you read the statute, it says road
There-
center.
They do not legally own, they do not have fee simple interest in that portion of the road. The way is, and if you look at the road, I mean, the ditches are here, the poles are way out here. And the poles in and of themselves are in a utility right away.
Restricted use.
Right, it's an easement, and
Right.
no poles, that's
And,
right.
people don't own the land under the electric lines. That's an easement. You know, they can't construct things underneath those lines. You know, well, when we look around, you might wonder about the trees, but, you know.
Changed.
Any other questions?
No?
So I guess to summarize, it's a 3-rod way, and I think that it would be a good idea if the board so chose to declare that they're going to be lost boundaries statute title 22, respect to Lubec Road this evening, and get the matter behind us.
Yeah.
And that
Is
way-
there some papers
Yeah,
you
it-
have to sign?
No, I have
something
no,
in our-
no, I think all you have to do is make the declaration.
Can you check with MMA on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I think John already talked to him. I think you just have to make the declaration.
Okay, I'd like to have it a little more formalized than
Okay.
that, so you could table it for tonight and
We could just
Do it.
go on from there, because
Yeah.
we got matters at hand, we got to have this done.
Well, they're not, we can do it, I mean, within the next few weeks.
Okay.
And one of the specific tenets, statements in the statute is that, and it says right in the Title 22, in the statement of this, it says this enables towns to deal with issues that may arise from time to time.
Right.
All right, that way everybody's clear on what it is. And no more guessing, and just because the pavement looks to be 2 rods doesn't mean the weight is 2 rods.
2 rods. Right.
Okay.
Good deal. And if there is any paperwork or anything, and that makes everything clear.
Yeah,
Got it?
and just one last thought, to kind of like pound the nail home here, is that road used to be the main commercial route in this town.
Yeah, that was the first tunnel. You know, and way out where you say it's 4 rods wide,
Yeah.
years and years and years ago, they used to have big picnics and big gatherings up there.
there was a huge hotel up there
And-
too.
Oh, yeah, I know what that was,
And
yeah.
so it would make sense that the main artery of the town,
It'd be that way.
in the main commercial area of this town years
Mhm.
ago, was 3 rods.
Yep.
Because we've had so many problems concerning roads and we've been trying, and John has been working diligently in getting all of the back documentation for all these roads in town.
Right.
I would like to have this formalized so that it can go into that file.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Down
well, sure.
the road, if that issue ever comes to head again.
Well, I think
mean,
John could work, John and I will work up a declarative statement for the
Right.
board to sign, okay?
Wayne Young spent hours and hours and hours
Yeah.
going back
Right.
through old meetings John has, and it's been an ongoing problem, even though the statute says the roads are 3 rods unless otherwise
Right.
declared. It still is something that I think we need, as we start solving these problems, we need to put it in
To
writing.
make sure they have it on that 4 rods on the upper end as well, I mean, where it even widens out again.
Well,
So-
is that on the way, a town way, or is that in
It's right
private
up.
property?
Well, that's not right.
The 4-way is,
No, that's still.
so where does that
That's
start?
town way,
So where does it change?
right there at.
Where ORPC has their substation?
Yes, they're electric utility and they're in the way. I mean,
They're in
I
the
don't
way,
mean
and
they're in,
They're next to the base.
they're next to the way there.
It's a-
But they're electric utility, they're different than a telephone pole.
But it's the same thing
It's
with
an
it.
unmaintained town road. We got into this a few years
Yes,
ago because
right.
of the
Right.
grave
It's
of a
maintained,
revolutionary soldier is
yes,
up there.
Right.
It's a
like
cemetery.
Jacob Gove.
Yes.
But that's a town,
It is still a town right of way.
oh yeah,
And just to have it documented that it was 4 rods there.
Right.
And later on, the chicken house will be a coat and told, something like that.
Big chicken house phone there.
All right, well, this is gonna be on our next meeting agenda.
Yes.
Okay,
okay, then we'll work that out.
Yeah, sounds really
Any other
good.
questions?
None. Thank you very much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, you're welcome. Good night.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night, Jim. Okay, seasonal floating dock update.
Yeah, I had a contract sent to me from NDOT on the BIG, which is the Boating Infrastructure Grant and the Small Harbor Improvement Grant. And I was hoping to bring that to the board. I talked with them, and if we had it presented in a public meeting, that would fulfill the requirement of public participation. And I was going to ask permission to sign the contract tonight. What this would do is, this would move the project of the seasonal floating dock system forward. And we would start looking as to when the funding would be available for the engineering, construction, and material costs. That was too easy.
Oh, too easy?
Over the weekend, it was brought to my attention that we had some erosion at the marina.
Yeah.
That back corner where the gangway would have tied into slumped forward, and now we've got some rocks that are missing. We spent the week looking at various issues as to how we're going to handle it. We've had conversations with Joe Powers from the who works at the state
Recreational.
boating facility. They've got some slumping issues as well.
Right.
Oh.
The
So-
whole section of coastline took a hit.
The beating and stone.
I
Yeah,
understand
way
there's
back.
also some at Peacocks.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
It
in the
seems like
channel.
that same storm.
Yep.
Yep.
The wave and wind action came in at the
Hmm.
right angle and just
Right.
sogged everything.
So one of the things Joe and I talked about, would it be possible that when the state starts looking at engineering and maybe construction work, that we could partner with them and put both projects together? Would that be feasible? He was going to forward that to his boss.
I would think if there's a
Hope
crew
they see
already
it.
here,
Yes.
if the crew already here doing part of the job for one part, then they
Right.
can just join in and finish up the other,
Right.
so it'd be cheaper to have them right on.
I also sent an email out today to Jerry Morrison over in Eastport.
Oh, yeah.
Who did the work for us at the commercial pier, and just tried to see what kind of knowledge he would have on that.
Yep.
During the week, I also had a conversation with Sheldon Stanley.
Yep.
He did a lot of the original work,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was able to benefit from his experience.
Good.
So I think before we go forward with the seasonal floating dock system, we're going to have to look at that erosion issue and figure out how we're going to replace the rods, but also how are we going to keep it from slumping any further. That being said, I would like to ask the selectmen for permission to sign the contract for the boating infrastructure grant and the small harbor improvement funds. This is going to total over $114,000, and we're going to couple it with the Maine Coastal Community and CDBG funds, donation from the RLF. And right now, the town of Lubec's gonna have a total of $466 for an NEPA permit wrapped up
Wow.
in this project.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to have John sign that agreement
Mm-hmm.
to keep the ball rolling on this. And I'm sure that the state will see that it makes sense to partner with the town in this common issue that we've got all along that area. So the big trucks are gonna start rolling, moving stone, they might as well just all do it at once and
Right.
fix their problem and ours at the same time.
And I second that.
Thank you.
I had a conversation today too this week with Conrad Sealy. We're gonna look to take the light down. Ricky is already working on removing the fencing to prevent any additional damage should more slumping occur. So
Shut it off.
we've already, we put the
Yeah, we put a
gate
sign
across,
up
we
and a
put a sign
cable.
up.
Okay.
Yep.
So, you know, we are working on moving forward with that.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is something where time is gonna be of the essence,
Yeah.
to prevent any additional erosion. But then hopefully we get the seasonal floating dock system back on track.
Sounds good.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Thank you, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a reminder that the foreclosure deadline, Randy, I believe for 2011 taxes, is 4 p.m. Monday, April 14th.
Okay.
So there are some people that Granny's been working with. But the bottom line is, I mean, they gotta step up to the plate and take care of it.
Yep, all the notices have been sent out, made phone calls, some twice. Still.
Well, in the words of a august emeritus select board member, we don't want your land, please pay your taxes.
Next item, we talked at previous meetings about having a, just a general meeting with the select board and some local businesses. Looking at the calendar, I'd like to have it in early May. I've got a proposed date of May 5th at 10 a.m. Send the notices out, invite whoever wants to come in and have a sit down. Let us know their issues, their concerns. You know, many people don't realize that the select board is here working for them and on their behalf.
Well, yeah, I think it's a real good idea because we can find out what their desires are.
Right. And I mean, you know, we've got, you know, we've talked about, we know there's issues about parking and stuff down on Front Street. Maybe we could talk with the people that deal with it every day. Maybe they would have some ideas from their perspective that, you know, we haven't thought of.
Right. Well, certainly.
So the tentative date is there. It would be Monday, 10 a.m. You know, if the selectmen are available. If we need to change the date, we'll change the date.
Are you gonna send out invitations?
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to put it on Channel 7. You know, we've got the sign down at Flatiron Corner. Maybe post it around in the stores. I mean, I don't want to send invitations to specific people because you're always going to leave out others.
Exactly.
Miss one or two.
Exactly.
Right, and I don't want to be,
Not
you know, looking like we're showing favoritism to any one
Oh.
particular business.
Yeah.
But I think if we blanket the town and,
In
you
the
know,
website,
One thing I'd like to see on top of is parking.
yes.
yes,
The public parking, how we could utilize that better. Maybe either just putting signs down or better signage,
right,
putting some lines.
right. One of the-
Signage would help.
Yeah,
Signage, and I think lines would help, because right now people park in all directions.
Yeah.
one of the items that the CDBG Town Improvement Committee was talking about, the sign down there that says municipal parking is congested with a bunch of other signs. What about going on the other side of the road and just having one sign with an arrow? And then, like you said, if we put the lines in, because how many people, especially if they're not from here, how many people know that that's public parking? I mean, if you wouldn't know, you would think that maybe it was owned by the Betsy Ross house, owned by
That's right.
some, you know, another landowner.
Yeah.
Maybe a sign when you're coming down Washington Street that points and says
Yeah.
municipal parking. Maybe,
Yeah, I know in some
It's
towns.
kind of hidden.
Yeah,
It is.
and I know in some towns they have a different color paint,
Yep.
and the paint follows along to where there is a parking area.
Yep.
And then they just follow that, and then they realize that this is parking for
Right,
Right.
anybody.
Right.
It doesn't belong to any of the local businesses right here or anything, to just make itself.
as long as we stay within the confines of the state regulations, we could have that, you know, that sign in a different color,
Yes.
which would be really
yeah.
helpful.
Hey, that would be cool. Well, yeah,
There's
that's
so
right.
many signs down there, they're all same color,
Right.
just kind of blend in.
Or there's the tried and true, you put up one sign that says free municipal parking.
Well, there. That
I
always
noticed in the
helps,
last
too.
couple of years that there was overflow parking from the state recreational parking area.
Mhm.
From people who had put a boat in, and that parking lot was full, so they found the municipal parking lot.
Right.
But we've got to put a sign down there that
Right.
says overflow parking, and then name the location.
Right, free.
Free.
Mm.
Okay, before we do committee updates, let's see, we have some people here. Danny? Okay.
No, no, you're.
No, you're a privileged character, you can go first. Come on up front here, I can't.
Yeah.
Come on up here.
I only got one good
Way
ear.
back here.
He's only got one good leg.
Yeah.
Years ago, we came up with some money for a skateboard park for the kids.
Mhm.
And Lester, I think, donated, Watson donated, or most of the money.
Oh,
But we used that money up.
Oh.
We went through all this insurance stuff. It's gonna be all this much more for insurance. We had that all covered, but we never had much money to put anything on. All it was was land. We've got a chance to get what we wanted from the beginning now
Uh-huh,
for a little or nothing.
okay.
And I get eyes rolled at me when I'm talking about this, but I ain't gonna benefit from it, John. I guarantee you.
Right.
But there's a guy in Machias Glass Works.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys seen it or not.
Yes, I have.
But
Scary, look into
there's a
that
whole
thing.
whack of stuff there to get it. And in the beginning, he told me he wanted $1,500 for it. Last time I was talking to him, he said $1,000, but he really wants to get it out of there. And it ain't as if he's trying to sell it. I don't think he needs the money. It ain't. He said there's other people that are interested, but he said he was going to give us first offer if we wanted it.
Well, there's plenty more than $1,000 worth of
There's
material.
$8,000
in
there.
something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of material that'd be.
Yeah, like I said, there's $8,000 in it.
Ramps and stuff.
There's ramps and there's things for bicycles, half pipes. If you've seen it, it takes up quite a bit of space.
Yeah, it looks like it would just about cover the paved area of the skate park now.
If not more.
Right.
But I was thinking, if you watch the kids play basketball there, which it does get used, but you never see no more than a 2-on-2, maybe a 3-on-3.
Yeah, that's something all the kids
There ain't
do.
no 5-on-5 full court game.
No.
So take that area for the skate park and just vice versa it, and put the basketball court on the other one that we had.
Can't do that.
You can't.
Well, I hear his idea, but you may not be aware of the fact that there's two separate
Right.
lands there.
Okay.
And actually, according to the deed, there is actually a 10-foot strip that divides the basketball court fenced area from the asphalt area of the skate park. But somehow they poured the
I was
asphalt.
gonna say, it's next to each other.
It's, oh yeah, it's right up to it.
Yeah.
John and I went down and took a look at it today, and the two features, the things that you have down there, one of them's shattered.
One of them's all right. The
One
other
of them's done, yeah, one of them's all right, the other one is unsafe.
I think it's been like, what's it been, 8 years, Marie?
Yeah, it's
Seven,
been
8
quite
years.
a while.
All right, so,
Yeah, but it hasn't been that long since you bought the two half-lives.
No.
I think I helped you
original
move them
part.
down there about 3 years ago.
4 years ago,
Yep.
yeah.
But these are much larger.
Oh, and they're built a whole lot different too.
Oh, yeah, I saw when they were being constructed, I mean, they're serious.
Yeah.
And I don't know how portable they are.
They said they would help load them.
All right, well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much is in their account?
580.
580?
I think
Okay.
talking to the guy, you know,
You'd
You
have
let
to do
her-
some fundraising.
you'd let her do a fundraiser and try to get a few more
Right.
dollars.
So if you can get that set down there and you get on a skateboard, you might raise some money.
I thought that whole sport was out of vogue now.
If you go to different spots, I mean, it, like, we don't have nothing going on for the kids, what else are they
Right,
gonna do?
right.
We don't have Little
Right.
League,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Right.
I think
We don't.
Yeah, we do, don't
we
we?
got T-ball for little
Oh,
kids.
T-ball,
We don't have,
not Little
Oh, we
League.
don't have Little League.
for the kids
Okay.
that would be using the skateboard ramp.
Are kids still skateboarding?
I think so. I mean, if you go to the places, just like tennis courts, you don't see no one playing tennis. Because there ain't no tennis courts there, right? I mean, if you go where there's a park,
No, I mean down here, they still.
I've seen them use it last year.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
yeah,
I've seen them use it mostly on bicycles instead of going up the side of it with a bike and
Yeah.
coming down.
Right, yeah, that's right, because they do the,
I will say they ain't a big line waiting to win it, but they use it.
right.
Now, the question I would have is, a lot of times people come in and they have this idea that, you know, we need to acquire this new thing. But then down the road, a year or 2 years down the road, the question becomes, who's gonna maintain it?
do you have a committee anymore?
Yeah, I was gonna say, were you aware of the entire agreement of how that all was created? Because it spelled out that there's a committee, and I understand in the beginning
It's
there
just
was
about dissolved.
3, yeah, you're the
Yeah.
only one. You're the only one
Yeah.
that ain't
Well,
dissolved.
Ron was on the committee,
Right.
and thing was Ron, he's moving.
Right. And that's, you know, that's the concern I have is.
And Gautier's.
That's right, he wants to do.
Right.
He was
If we
a-
buy it,
Yep.
set it up, I mean, somebody's gonna have to maintain it, somebody's gonna have to inspect it and make sure that it continues to be safe. What do we, you know, where's that manpower gonna come from?
I mean,
Ricky, down around the.
Well,
It'd be
I
nice
mean,
to
even
have-
if we help, you still need to come up with 2 more people on a committee
right?
to make this whole, the entity of it legal according to this, and I think you wanna
Yeah, can you give him a copy?
Danny a copy of that.
Yeah.
See if he has got to replace a couple of members of Parliament.
Yeah, thank you.
And, with his charm and personality, I know he's.
So you're saying grab a couple more people for a committee?
Yeah, so you have a committee.
I can grab a couple of parents that would
Okay,
jump on that.
Yep.
good.
You can use the money that's in the fund, but you would have to do some fundraising to
Right,
come up
and-
with the
Yeah.
cost.
And I don't think this guy wants it in his yard very long, so maybe, you know, I think that's his thing that he wants to get rid of it. You know, he wants it out of his yard.
If he's talking about he's gonna load it on
He
the
said he'd
lot.
help him.
Right, I mean, what do you
Right,
have,
we'd have
what do
to
you
come
have
up with
to,
some equipment.
what do you
to
have
do
for
it.
equipment to haul it?
Yeah, he said that he could have a few of his men help
Yeah.
load it. I guess we have to come up with a,
And I'm sure on that day, if you let us know, we could have a bunch of guys there to, I don't think it's something that 10 people couldn't lift off of a trailer set.
no, he said a few carpenters could. The way.
Carpenters, hear that?
The,
Are you sure about that?
We have a couple.
Just happen to have a couple sitting right here.
He said that they would, you know, depends on how it's put on,
Right,
but it would go together pretty quick.
okay.
I mean, and despite, I mean, I think we owe the kids something. You
Oh,
know,
yeah, well, I don't want to have him.
we,
Right. Maybe they should be the ones who maintain it.
Mhm.
maybe they should be the ones to come up with some fundraisers and. get
That
along
would help.
with
They may
our-
have ideas of what's really
Yeah,
good
good,
But I think we ought to
fundraising. Yeah,
get pretty.
Yep.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
well, that would give them some ownership, I mean, it would be something that they earned.
Mhm.
Yeah, most certainly so, I mean, and I think that was, that's a good,
Maybe a car wash too.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah, that's
Certainly
right, yeah,
everybody's
there you
car
go.
could use one.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, yeah.
kidding.
Yes.
yeah, this
Wow.
timing is important on that.
Yeah,
Great while I'm up here, that light, that sign you guys was talking about on Flat Iron Corner,
sign on that line, oh.
you know, that one that blinds you when you,
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one.
that sucker there, that ought to be moved, my opinion.
We've had several suggestions as to the method of moving it and where it's going.
Is it room at the
It
skateboard?
does
shop?
blind you pretty good.
It
when
does,
you-
there's, if you stop in the legally designated area, according to the line on the street, and try to look up the hill, you're looking at the sign. And at night, you don't see a car until it jumps
No,
out.
right now.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
that's
good. Yeah.
We'll have to get that.
Right. We go through this, there's a cycle that I've been aware of now for 3 years of the sign. And it's like, for a while, no one sees it, and then all of a sudden we go this thing where everybody is like, oh, that sign and the light is too bright. Yeah. Well, thank you for pointing that out to us.
Yes.
I mentioned it, you pointed out a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get working on this and, maybe get a hold of the guy in Machias and let him know what's up with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you know anybody around with big trailers, you know, no names. or-
Would the town be able, or do we have any equipment that we can go over there and get it with?
Do we have anything large enough?
Sure we do.
Here's that trailer.
Oh,
We got
that's
it.
right.
We got a big equipment
That's
trailer.
right.
About Ramsdale's trailer, one of the horses equipment.
Yeah,
I thought of that too, you know, I thought of Ramsdale's.
But first, we gotta get some money so we can buy it.
right.
Well,
You got some
it
to
ain't that
start
big of a
with.
deal, you know,
No,
how much money
right.
we need.
Exactly.
Even
We're
the rest.
not gonna get a chance to get $8,000 worth of stuff for.
No, right, exactly. I was gonna say, that's really what the equipment, what the value of everything that's here. Not to mention the sweat equity to build it all.
Yeah.
Right, he's just, you know, getting rid of it with some money in his
Right.
pocket. There's a lot more in materials and labor
Yeah.
in that.
Like he's telling me, he built it right, he never skipped on it.
Oh, no, I thought he was building a ship. When I was like, this is serious, and I realized,
What
oh,
size are these? I mean, is it gonna be over width or is it something we can?
no, they're sectional. They can come apart in pieces and meet road, you know, it's not that big a deal.
I think he said it came in 4 different
Yeah.
pieces.
Well, Wow.
So did you plan to get like some of the parents and kids or something together to help or disassemble it, or you going over with chainsaw? Or?
I'd
No,
say
it's
as far as
fine.
taking and going over there, taking it apart, you wouldn't want kids around anyway.
No, not kids.
No, they're just a distraction.
Yeah.
Okay, at that point, let me know. I'd like to go over and see how this
Yeah.
thing was put together and
Okay.
figure out how to take it apart.
That's right.
Easy enough.
I've got a few other guys too that may
Good.
help out. So.
Good.
Good.
Team
Sounds
together.
good.
Get them on your committee.
Yeah, yeah, you get your committee up.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah,
We'll,
thank you.
supply a skateboard, you try it out too.
Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Committee update?
Yeah.
Can I go first?
Sure.
Well, Danny's still here.
Oh,
Listen up.
Danny?
Shellfish Committee, we have a meeting coming up April 22nd, 5 p.m. This is the second of the two important meetings where we plan what our conservation outings, where they'll take place, and it's the two meetings where you get credit for an hour of each meeting attendance towards your conservation time. And the May meeting is on the 28th at noon. Remember, these are set by the tide. So, we're set by the tide. April 22nd, 5 p.m. And the May meeting is May 28th at 12 p.m. That's a Wednesday. And that is here at the town office.
So very important. You're gonna post them?
Yes, it'll be posted. Well, we've had this up at McFadden's for the last 2
Okay.
months. Yes, and there's a couple of other areas around town. I see someone took the one that was down at Lions School. I guess they didn't want to forget the date.
Any other committee updates?
Yeah, I got a couple. The University of Maine's gonna have a presentation this upcoming Monday at 6 p.m. at the Lubec Town office. They're gonna discuss a fish study and a social economic survey titled Energy and Culture Pay. They've done a bunch of work as far as what kind of fish have they found around the generator, any effects that they've had, and they're going to be presenting that information at the Lubec Town office Monday at 6 p.m. This upcoming Monday.
This upcoming Monday.
Boston Post Cane, the Boston Post Cane Committee is looking for candidates to receive the cane from Lubec. Nomination forms are at the town office or on the new townoflubec.com website. For consideration, the candidate needs to be 90 years old, a current resident of Lubec, and a resident for over 20 years. The deadline for consideration is Friday, May 2nd, 2014.
Did we need somebody off the board to be nominated?
Maureen's on.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I believe
Thank you.
I have had opportunity,
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
I've had opportunities to deal with some of that stuff on the end of the time.
That's the deadline date.
I've been involved with the cane for Lubec for quite a few years.
Yep.
In fact, was in the presentation of the last person.
So a recipient has to be nominated? I thought
Well,
we had a listing.
We have a listing,
But
but
if we
these,
miss someone, and you know of
okay.
someone,
All right.
you know, we go through the records that we have and we try to get a list, but there's always
Not yet.
that possibility that we've missed someone.
Okay.
So if someone knows, you know,
Right.
someone
Somebody
would
that-
be eligible,
drop their name off and,
Right.
we'll make sure that.
They
no
get
There
on
is
matter-
certain criteria that they have.
Yes,
to
there
meet,
is.
yeah.
right.
The municipal bids are out for the upcoming season. Mowers and for trash remover, they need to have a predetermined independent contractor status or a WCB 266. You can get it on the maine.gov website.
What is that,
WCB 266.
What does that mean?
That is a form that basically says that this is an independent contractor and not an employee of the town of Lubec. Our insurance company is requiring that we have it,
Hey,
because if somebody working for us gets hurt,
Yeah.
they could be considered an employee of the town unless they have that contractor status. Last year, we went to the, last year when we awarded the bids, we worked with all the contractors. Everybody got it, as far as I know, on the first try. We had one person that had some issue. We contacted workers' comp on their behalf, found out what the issue was, and we got it for them. So it's not a difficult process. We've had some people come in, we told them we needed it, they opened up a folder and they said, yeah, everybody else does. So they just presented it to us.
It's just another piece of paper.
Yeah, it's just something we have to have on file that says this person working for us as an independent contractor is an independent
I
contractor.
foresee that because this is the first year that we are held to this.
Last year was the first year.
No.
Yeah, but last year it came in midstream.
Did it?
Right. This year, have we had anybody come into the office and say that they're interested in mowing this year?
No, we had one,
This isn't our mowers.
no.
This is roadside mowing.
Roadside.
Okay, make a distinction.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah,
This
these are,
Thank
is
you.
the mowing for
Got it.
the airport, the
Ditches.
landfill, and the roadside. This is
Roadside.
not the cemetery workers.
No.
That's a
Thank
whole different thing.
yeah,
Now,
these are the independent
my
contractors.
question is, this year, is to make sure that the old form of sending them a little note and then
Those
we'll...
have already went out.
Have they really? Okay,
to
then,
the
because,
people that bid last year.
they looked for that same old way and it wasn't there,
Yeah.
and they missed out on the bids, and there was some growly issues
Yeah.
at hand,
We're sorry that occurred.
you know,
Yeah.
so that's taken
These
care
aren't-
of, good.
These aren't the people that mows them.
No, and if anybody has an issue getting this form, call me at the town office.
Right.
I'd be more than happy to work with them. Most of the people that came in and had any questions, we resolved them real quick.
Yeah.
You just download a form, fill it out, send it in. And like I said, we only had one person that had to go back, and that's because there was some information that was missed. They filled it out, and there was no issue. So
Yeah.
we'd be more than happy to help anybody.
I'd be curious on some of that on mowing the lawns, because the other got some programs set up, you know, for the lawn mowing in most cemeteries, they can be paid for it. In the process from the UT, working to find out how many cemeteries there is between Truscott, for example, and yet, so, because where it's the law, then anybody that is a veteran.
It's been the law for quite a while.
Yeah, but the things kind of slide through the cracks in
Right.
some cemeteries and some places, right, so picking up.
Lubec does the best they can, but I can't
Oh,
say
yeah.
that we 100% get every one of them, because some of them are way out, you know.
Some of them are single grade
And
sites
some of them ain't known.
Yes.
in the middle of the woods. I've
Some
been
of
to
them ain't
them.
known. I
Couldn't believe
just,
it.
There's some on my husband's property.
I just went to a 60 or 70 grave, cemetery, 60 or 70 graves in it, and it's all grown in. Nobody's been into it for years and years, a big tree. And I got a doctor from Scotland, Maine, who's gonna be coming on board, and we're gonna go take a big bunch of the stones and try to do a bunch of figuring out.
CDBG Town Committee meeting will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. And next Wednesday, we're gonna have our board meeting.
That's all the committees, you have any more?
No. He took our report from me.
You did, well, there you go. Any other public comment? Okay,
I make a motion, we go into executive session, discussion of confidential records, 1 MRSA 4056F.
Seconded.